The afternoon sun cast long shadows across my sleek office in downtown Seattle as I wrapped up a meeting with my biggest real estate investor. My phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number, Pinnacle Mortgage Services. A chill ran down my spine as I answered. Ms. Abigail Foster? This is Jason Marks from Pinnacle Mortgage. I need to verify information about a property at 358 Lakeside Avenue where you're listed as guarantor. There must be a mistake, I replied, my voice steady despite my racing heart. I don't own anything on Lakeside. I understand your confusion, he said, his tone softening. But your name appears as cosigner for a mortgage under Caitlin Foster, your sister. The Mont Blanc pen slipped from my fingers, clattering against my mahogany desk. Blood drained from my face. That's impossible. I never signed anything for my sister. The documents bear your signature. Your parents personally submitted everything 7 months ago. Memories flashed before me, Mom avoiding eye contact during Thanksgiving, the awkward silence when Caitlin mentioned her amazing new place, and those investment paperwork forms Mom insisted I sign at Dad's retirement party. I need copies of everything immediately, I demanded, my voice like ice. I'll send them right away, Jason replied. But there's another issue, the account is $50,000 overdue with additional credit lines of $200,000 drawn against your name. My chest constricted painfully. The moment the call ended, I dialed Justin, my closest friend since business school and a financial crimes attorney. They forged my signature, I blurted. Caitlin, Mom, Dad, all of them. Justin didn't hesitate. I'll be there in 10. When Justin arrived, the email from Pinnacle was already open on my screen. The signature didn't just look like mine, it had my mother's distinctive flourish on the final stroke. They didn't even try to make it convincing, Justin said, his face grim. This is criminal fraud. My phone lit up, Mom calling. Justin nodded encouragingly as I answered. Hi Mom. Darling. Coming for dinner tonight? Dad's grilling those steaks you love. I almost laughed. Perfect timing. I just got an interesting call from Pinnacle Mortgage. Silence stretched for seconds. I was going to tell you, she stammered. Caitlin just needed a little help, and you're doing so well with your investments. So forging my signature was your solution? Do you realize this could destroy my financial reputation? My entire business. You're overreacting, Abby. We're family. Family helps each other. Help each other, or just Caitlin? My knuckles whitened around the phone. You put me $250,000 in debt without a word. Caitlin will pay it back. She just needs time. I cut her off, staring at the screen showing multiple defaults. I'm coming over tonight. Make sure Caitlin's there. We need to talk. After hanging up, Justin asked quietly, want to file charges? I collapsed into my chair, a hollow feeling spreading through my chest. I don't know, I whispered. But I need the whole truth first. Justin squeezed my shoulder reassuringly. Then we start tonight. I nodded, something hardening inside me, not hurt, but determination. My family thought they could use my success to cover their mistakes? Fine. Time to show them what happens when you cross a self-made millionaire who knows the value of contracts. Justin returned at 8 p.m. carrying his laptop, takeout sushi, and a grimmer expression than I'd ever seen. Eat something before you crash, he said, setting down the food and pulling up a chair. I've been investigating Pinnacle and several other financial institutions. This goes way beyond a mortgage. My stomach knotted as files populated his screen, my name, email, social security number, all exposed. Abby, he said quietly, there are 5 platinum credit cards in your name opened within 3 months. Combined limit of $250,000, all maxed out. I gripped the desk edge, blood pounding in my ears. Impossible. I only have my Chase Sapphire from 2020. That's barely scratching the surface, Justin continued, revealing another screen. There's a $150,000 unsecured loan from Western Financial, processed 2 months ago. Worse, your investment portfolio was used as collateral for a substantial business startup loan. I shot to my feet. A business? I don't own any business. You don't need to, Justin explained. They just needed paperwork and a signature, which they've perfected forging. I paced my office, mind racing. For 7 months, I'd believed my financial world was secure while my own family weaponized my identity as collateral for their extravagance. Your credit score's in freefall, Justin added. When did you last check? 6 months ago, it was 842. It's 590 now. I collapsed into my chair, nauseated. My reputation, Justin. My entire business is built on financial credibility. If investors learn about this. That's why we need immediate action, he said. I've contacted Elena, a financial crimes specialist. She'll help, but needs complete documentation. How much deeper could this go? I asked, voice trembling. No telling, Justin shook his head. Once they've forged signatures for mortgages, there's nothing stopping them, investment accounts, tax filings, anything's possible. My phone displayed Caitlin's name. I silenced it. We'll methodically address this, Justin said, opening a folder. First, freeze your credit reports. Then file fraud cases with every institution holding fraudulent accounts. Total damages so far? I asked, dreading the answer. Approximately $680,000, potentially more with undiscovered accounts. The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. Nearly $700,000, not from my missteps, but because my family decided my success made me their personal bailout fund. I need to know everything they've done, I whispered. If I'm the target, what else are they hiding? Justin nodded. I'll work with Elena. You should also engage a forensic accountant for your business transactions. A realization hit me. Wait, Mom used my personal computer twice recently for checking email. And Caitlin visited my office last month, staying after hours. They could access everything. Justin checked my login history, then turned the screen toward me. Unauthorized access from your parents' home IP immediately following Caitlin's visit. So this was calculated, I said, voice hollow. Not opportunistic, methodically planned. Justin met my gaze. What's your next move? I straightened my shoulders, decision crystallizing. Tomorrow night, I confront them. Not as family, but as victims confronting perpetrators. And I'm bringing reinforcements. I stepped into my parents' sprawling Tudor-style home in Seattle's wealthiest suburb, feeling like an unwelcome intruder. Everything looked exactly as it had at Easter, the pristine cream carpet, the professional family portrait where Caitlin stood front and center, and the distinct aroma of my mother's roast duck that always signaled trouble brewing. Caitlin sat at the marble dining table, mascara streaking her cheeks. Dad leaned against the designer kitchen island, refusing to meet my eyes. Mom rose from her designer sofa with a plastic smile. Abby, you made it, she chirped as if this were a casual dinner party. Without a word, I placed a thick folder of documents on the table. These are records of every fraudulent account, loan, and investment opened using my identity. Mom's eyes darted to the file before quickly looking away. Caitlin dissolved into theatrical sobs. You're not being fair, she whimpered. I just needed help with the down payment. Then things escalated. Escalated? My voice cut like steel. You used my credit to secure a $450,000 loan. You charged $70,000 on credit cards in my name. You leveraged my investment portfolio for a business loan. That's not help, Caitlin, that's identity theft. Dad finally turned, his expression hardened. Your sister deserved her chance, Abby. You have everything, wealth, business success, property. Caitlin just needed her start. I stared incredulously. So your solution was forging my signature and hijacking my financial identity? Mom approached, her diamond bracelet catching the light. Family supports each other, Abby. I know we crossed a line, but I thought you'd understand once you saw how much Caitlin needed this. Understanding isn't on my agenda today. Caitlin grabbed my wrist, tears flowing on command. I'll pay everything back, I swear. I just need more time. I pulled up photos of social media posts on my phone. Last month you spent $28,000 on a luxury Aspen ski trip and $12,000 on designer clothes. What's your monthly income, Caitlin? The question hung in the air like a guillotine blade. I don't really have one, she whispered, eyes downcast. Not consistently. Then repayment is impossible. And if you all genuinely believe family bonds justify destroying my financial reputation and business credibility, we clearly have incompatible definitions of family. Mom's face crumpled. Please, Abby, Caitlin will lose her beautiful home. I looked between them, my golden child sister trembling with fear, and my parents who'd taught me about integrity while systematically betraying mine. I've retained legal counsel, I said evenly. Tomorrow morning, we're filing criminal identity fraud charges with federal authorities. Dad's face flushed crimson. You'd drag your own family through court? I'm not dragging anyone. You placed yourselves there when you decided to exploit my success without my consent. You can't mean this, Caitlin pleaded. I'm your sister. I inhaled deeply, maintaining composure. You are my sister. You're also the person who sabotaged the business I spent 15 years building. You don't get to devastate someone's life and then demand forgiveness as your birthright. Mom sank into a chair, sobbing dramatically. Dad stood frozen. Caitlin stared with dawning horror. At the door, I turned back one final time. This isn't about revenge. It's about consequences. If I ignore this now, you'll never stop until I have nothing left to take. The door closed behind me, shutting out their tears and justifications. For the first time, I understood that family isn't an unlimited license to harm someone while calling it love. 3 days after the confrontation, I sat in Elena Bielinski's sleek downtown office. Justin had arranged this meeting, and within moments of watching her work, I understood why. Elena barely spoke. She analyzed data with military precision, her fingers flying across the keyboard as if decrypting classified intelligence. I waited beside her, my silk blouse clinging to my back with cold sweat as unfamiliar accounts and transactions filled her monitor. Abigail, she finally said, breaking 2 hours of concentrated silence, we're facing something far worse than individual fraud. My stomach dropped. How much worse? Federal investigation worse. I gripped the armrests. Elena rotated her screen toward me. I've been tracking suspicious transfers from your investment portfolio, which was used as collateral for a fictitious ethical investment vehicle called Evergreen Impact Fund. Does that name mean anything to you? I shook my head numbly. As I suspected. Yet over 30 members of the Harborview Country Club, where your parents are prominent figures, have invested substantial sums in it. She displayed a complex flowchart. I've tracked approximately $7,800,000 moving through 6 different accounts, 3 domestic, 2 in the Cayman Islands, and 1 untraceable Swiss account. This can't be happening. I pushed away from the desk, lungs constricting. There's more, Elena continued clinically. They leveraged your entire financial history, your investment returns, property acquisitions, business credentials, to attract investors. They used your name, professional headshots, portfolio performance charts, and fabricated email conversations presenting you as the fund manager. They impersonated me? They created a.foster.investments@gmail.com and digitally replicated your signature. There's likely spyware on your devices from when your family accessed them. My head fell into my hands. So I wasn't just their victim, I was their bait for larger prey. Precisely. These investors believed they were entrusting their money to a brilliant young real estate mogul. Your immaculate reputation sealed their confidence. Justin burst in, his expression grim. Your father and another man just attempted to transfer $500,000 from a joint account. The bank's security protocols flagged and froze it. Good, Elena nodded. We need to lock down every channel before funds vanish permanently. My voice shook. The victims, are they coming forward? Gradually, Elena replied. They're wealthy, influential people reluctant to admit being deceived. Many are longtime friends of your parents or your mother's social circle. I felt physically ill. The people who trusted my family were their primary targets. Someone's here to see you, Elena said, stepping out briefly. She returned with an elegant older woman I immediately recognized. Mrs. Margaret Chen, my former economics teacher and my mother's closest friend. Abigail, she said quietly. Your mother promised I could trust you with my money. I stood shakily. I'm devastated by what they've done. If I'd known earlier. She raised a hand. I believed in your family's integrity and your supposed financial genius. I liquidated my entire retirement portfolio, everything. My throat constricted painfully. I'll do everything possible to recover your funds. I promise. Justin nodded reassuringly. We've compiled comprehensive evidence for the Federal Financial Crimes Unit. Elena added, we're also documenting all victims. Once the case opens, they'll receive full protective measures and recovery assistance. I stared at the digital crime map on her wall monitor, dozens of names, transactions, and connection points forming a massive fraud network with my identity at its core. How much time remains? I asked. Very little, Justin warned. They're getting desperate. Any delay could mean funds disappearing permanently offshore. I straightened my shoulders. Then we move immediately. The next morning, I strode into Pacific Northwest Financial's gleaming headquarters flanked by Justin and Elena, carrying an extensive dossier of forged emails, financial records, IP logs, and documented fraudulent investments. Robert Meyer, the executive branch manager, rose from his desk, thinly veiled tension crossing his features. "Abigail, I just finished meeting with your parents," he said carefully. "They claim you're attempting to destroy the family name and are threatening legal action against you for defamation." I placed our evidence file on his polished mahogany desk. "Then I strongly suggest you examine what we've brought today." Robert opened the documents, methodically reviewing each page. His professional composure gradually dissolved into alarm as he studied Elena's analysis of the money trail from the fictitious Evergreen Impact Fund through various offshore accounts. "This is unconscionable," he murmured, reaching the IP tracking report. "Every single financial application and transaction originated from one location, your parents' residence." Elena nodded grimly. "Device identification confirms all activities came from a specific MacBook Pro, the same laptop Caitlin brought to Abigail's office during her last visit." Robert closed the folder with a decisive snap. "I'm contacting our fraud division immediately. All associated accounts will be frozen pending full investigation." "We've already submitted identical documentation to the Seattle Police Department's Financial Crimes Unit and the FBI's White Collar Division," Justin added. "Federal agents should arrive momentarily." Within 40 minutes, 2 plainclothes agents entered the conference room, Special Agent Rivera and Financial Crimes Specialist Torres. "Ms. Foster, thank you for your cooperation. We've reviewed your evidence package and are ready to proceed with the involved parties." I waited silently as Robert called my family, inviting them to return to finalize some paperwork regarding Caitlin's property. They arrived promptly, clearly believing they still controlled the situation. Mom swept in first, her voice light and commanding. "Robert, thank you for arranging this. We're eager to resolve these misunderstandings with Abigail immediately." Dad's face remained stoic. Caitlin studied her manicure intently. "Misunderstandings? Let's clarify everything," I said, sliding the evidence file across the table. "This contains comprehensive documentation of identity theft, sophisticated fraud, financial manipulation, and federal banking violations." The atmosphere crystallized. Caitlin's face drained of color. Mom hastily grabbed the file, frantically flipping through pages. Dad's expression darkened dangerously. "Abigail," he snarled, "you've completely lost your mind. I'm stopping you from destroying my life and the financial futures of 37 innocent people," I replied evenly. "You called it helping family. The federal government calls it organized financial crime." Mom slammed the table. "You'd send your family to prison over some accounting irregularities? Caitlin is your sister." "No," I stated, holding her gaze unflinchingly. "I'm ensuring justice regardless of shared DNA." The federal agent stepped forward, credentials displayed. "Warren Foster, Pamela Foster, Caitlin Foster, you're under arrest for multiple violations of federal banking laws, including fraud, identity theft, securities fraud, and operating an illegal investment scheme." Mom's perfectly composed face crumpled. "This is absurd. We're the victims of her jealousy." Caitlin collapsed in theatrical sobs. "I didn't understand what was happening with those accounts. I only helped arrange meetings with investors." Dad attempted to stand, but Agent Torres intervened. "Sir, remain seated. Anything you say will be documented as evidence." As they were escorted out, Mom turned back, her expression venomous. "You'll regret this betrayal for the rest of your life, Abigail. Real families protect each other." I remained silent, watching them disappear behind frosted glass doors. The crushing weight I'd carried for months finally lifted. Justin touched my shoulder. "Holding up. Getting there. This isn't the end, but it's the right beginning." My phone illuminated with messages from victims, former family friends and associates, expressing profound gratitude for my courage in exposing the truth. Seattle Federal Courthouse buzzed with tension as my family's trial commenced. I sat rigidly in the front row among attorneys and witnesses, my testimony folder clutched against my thundering heart. Across the courtroom, my father Warren looked diminished in his once expensive suit, now hanging loosely on his frame. Mother maintained her composure, occasionally flashing me pleading glances. Caitlin appeared hollow, her designer clothes hanging on her thin frame, eyes vacant, her normally perfect appearance neglected. Judge Harrington opened proceedings with authoritative precision. Defense counsel presented predictable arguments, misunderstandings, familial obligations, financial desperation. When federal prosecutor Ramirez rose, the atmosphere shifted palpably. "The evidence will demonstrate these weren't impulsive mistakes but calculated, sophisticated fraud," she stated firmly. The defendants methodically exploited their daughter's financial reputation to defraud dozens of victims while creating an elaborate criminal enterprise. When called to testify, my legs felt leaden. Seeing Mrs. Chen and other victims in the gallery strengthened my resolve. "My name is Abigail Foster," I began, voice unwavering. "I built a successful real estate investment company through 15 years of disciplined work. Within 7 months, my family fraudulently leveraged my identity to open multiple credit accounts, secure loans, and create a fictitious investment fund under my name. I methodically presented each evidence point, every forged signature, digital footprint from their devices, correspondence with financial institutions questioning transactions I never authorized. They didn't merely betray my trust," I testified, meeting Caitlin's gaze directly. "They transformed my professional credibility into bait for criminal exploitation, using my reputation to lure innocent investors into their scheme." The prosecution displayed financial records, victim statements, and damning social media evidence: mother modeling luxury purchases in Monaco, father celebrating at exclusive resorts, timestamps coinciding precisely with major withdrawals from victim accounts. The courtroom fell silent as Mrs. Chen testified she invested her entire retirement portfolio solely because she believed I personally managed the fund. Caitlin's attorney attempted to distance her from the scheme, claiming she merely followed parental direction. This defense collapsed when prosecutors revealed she had submitted a commercial property application using my credentials, complete with my portfolio history, digital signature, and broker license information. After reviewing case materials for nearly 40 minutes, Judge Harrington delivered her verdict, based on overwhelming evidence presented, victim testimony, and federal prosecutor recommendations. This court sentences. Tension rendered the massive courtroom deathly quiet. Warren Foster, 22 years federal imprisonment, no parole eligibility for 15 years. Pamela Foster, 18 years federal imprisonment. Caitlin Foster, 14 years federal imprisonment with permanent prohibition from all financial services and licensing. Caitlin collapsed sobbing. Mother's perfectly maintained facade crumbled. Father remained stone-faced, staring vacantly ahead. All assets connected to this criminal enterprise, properties, vehicles, artwork, jewelry, and financial accounts, are immediately seized for victim restitution, the judge continued. Furthermore, this court orders aggressive recovery of offshore funds with full international cooperation. Mrs. Chen squeezed my hand gently. "You showed tremendous courage," she whispered. Despite believing in justice, my heart still ached knowing my family ties were permanently severed. As officers led them away, Caitlin turned back tearfully. "I never meant for this to happen," she whimpered. I remained silent, knowing the truth. They all understood exactly what they were doing, continuing even as consequences loomed inevitable. The legal proceedings concluded, but my commitment to restoring justice for the victims had only begun. 1 week after the trial, I returned to my investment firm with transformed perspective. I was no longer Abigail Foster, the daughter desperate to maintain family harmony. I emerged as a survivor of calculated betrayal. And I discovered countless others shared my experience. 3 days after sentencing, I received an unexpected email from our executive board. They proposed I lead a groundbreaking initiative called Reclaim and Rebuild, a comprehensive support program for victims of familial financial exploitation. "No one possesses your unique qualifications," our chairman wrote. "Your professional expertise combined with personal experience creates exceptional insight. You've transformed trauma into purpose." I contemplated this proposal for hours, conflicted. Part of me craved distance from the entire ordeal. But my stronger self recognized this wasn't an ending, it was my purpose revealed. I accepted. During my first week directing the program, I worked relentlessly. Together with Elena and Justin, we constructed the foundation. We launched a 24-hour hotline, developed a resource-rich website, and within days, over 500 people reached out, predominantly older adults, vulnerable relatives, and individuals systematically exploited by trusted family members. A call from 72-year-old Dorothy particularly affected me. "I mortgaged my home to fund my daughter's business venture," she explained, voice quavering. "Now she's disappeared. I've lost everything, including my dignity. I feel like such a fool." I gripped the phone tightly. Trusting someone you love never makes you foolish. But finding strength after such betrayal, that's extraordinary courage. Meanwhile, I finally confronted a dreaded task, clearing my family's mansion before its liquidation for victim restitution. Authorities permitted me to collect personal belongings unrelated to the case. Entering my childhood home felt surreal. Mother's antique grandfather clock still chimed on the hour. Family portraits lining the grand staircase, their practiced smiles now revealing calculated deception. In Caitlin's former bedroom, I discovered a leather-bound journal hidden behind her dresser. The first page contained meticulous notes, evergreen impact strategy. Keep Abigail completely unaware. I closed my eyes, breathing deeply, not from anger but from release. That evening, I facilitated our first support group in a conference center donated by my firm. Though I'd prepared extensive remarks, seeing the wounded yet hopeful expressions surrounding me, I set my notes aside. I won't prescribe healing methods, I began quietly. I'm here because I sat exactly where you are now. I believed family represented ultimate security until mine systematically dismantled everything I'd built. Profound silence settled over the room until a professional woman named Rachel stood, tears streaming. You've articulated what I've never had courage to acknowledge. Following that session, I received countless messages and tokens, not from gratitude, but from people finally feeling understood and validated. Though I no longer had parents or a sister in any meaningful sense, I discovered authentic family, built on mutual respect rather than exploitation disguised as love. One crisp autumn morning, I sat on a bench overlooking the Seattle skyline. Elena joined me, offering herbal tea. Will you ever forgive them? She asked gently. I contemplated before answering. I'm not certain forgiveness matters anymore. But I've forgiven myself, for maintaining silence, for enduring manipulation, for believing if I achieved enough success, they would respect my boundaries. Elena nodded understanding. Now, I said, watching light play across Puget Sound, I use my experience to protect others from similar devastation. That's how I rebuild. That's how I transform pain into purpose. That evening, standing alone in the empty conference hall after Reclaim and Rebuild's inaugural symposium, I reflected on how sharing my story had resonated with hundreds of attendees, fellow survivors of family betrayal who'd found strength in community. On a rustic table nearby lay dozens of handwritten cards from participants. One message stood out: I believed I was weak for being unable to forgive them. Now I understand that sometimes our greatest strength comes from severing toxic connections. I traced my finger along the trembling handwriting, feeling the words resonate within me. For years, I'd convinced myself that love meant silent endurance, that maintaining family appearance was paramount. Now I recognize real strength isn't passively absorbing mistreatment, it's speaking truth and breaking cycles of exploitation. I once was that daughter who believed exceptional achievement would finally earn her family's authentic love. I've learned love isn't something earned through perpetual striving. Genuine love comes freely, wrapped in respect and authenticity. Anything demanding constant proof of worthiness isn't love, it's control. I recalled standing in that federal courtroom, testifying against those 3 people I once believed were my foundation. Beyond the heartache burned quiet determination, ensure no one faces similar betrayal without support. Since then, I've encountered countless survivors, the nurse whose brother secured mortgages using her identity before vanishing, the retired teacher whose grandson used his credit for luxury purchases, the medical student drowning in debt after parents forged loan documents for his siblings' private schooling. Different circumstances, identical anguish, betrayal by those we trusted implicitly. I've come to understand we must redefine family. Family transcends genetics. It's not shared surnames or childhood homes. True family creates safety from exploitation, where trust remains sacred, where worthiness isn't perpetually questioned. My gaze lifted to our organization's banner overhead, healing begins with truth. Justin entered quietly, offering a steaming mug of herbal tea before settling beside me. You were exceptional today, he said warmly. Not just your words, but how you created belonging for everyone present. I smiled appreciatively. I want people experiencing this to never feel ashamed for choosing self-preservation. Regarding your biological family, Justin hesitated. Do you consider forgiveness possible? I watched golden light fading beyond the windows. I don't harbor hatred, I answered thoughtfully. But forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation. Forgiveness serves my healing, not their absolution. Justin nodded understanding. Meeting his gaze, I continued, I'm finished pursuing approval from those who weaponized my success. I'm creating authentic family connections, with people offering mutual respect and genuine care. People like you, Elena, and everyone brave enough to share their stories today. I raised my mug. To authenticity, courage, and redefining family on our terms. Justin touched his cup to mine. To self-determined beginnings. As darkness embraced the city below, I recognized my freedom from past definitions. I'd lost my biological family but discovered my authentic self. From that foundation, I began constructing my own definition of family through deliberate choices. Abigail's journey reminds us that family connections don't automatically guarantee safety or love. Our deepest wounds often come from those claiming closest connection. Yet Abigail demonstrates how true strength means rejecting comfortable silence that protects false appearances, instead choosing difficult truth that protects actual people. She transformed personal devastation into purpose, helping fellow survivors reclaim their voices. How has Abigail's courage to redefine family inspired you? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more powerful stories of resilience and transformation.